This chapter does a great job of not only introducing us, but kind of fleshing out this character of Yosaku, and I really like the guy and what happened in this chapter.
Toriko, a gourmet number 95, rules. Rules!
20 years! Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and fellow gourmet hunters or gourmet revivers of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and appetizing and ultimately healing tale of Toriko. Now, our last chapter, of course, saw us really, kind of the whole point of the chapter was showing the backdrop and giving us some characterization for the actual country of life where everybody has come to now, certainly for their own reasons. You know, Toriko obviously wants to restore his arm, and to pay, you know, his boss, or his master, I guess you would call it, Yosaku, this cigar-chomping sort of, reminds you kind of like a cross between like a Wolverine and Punisher type of guy. He goes and winds up, or like a Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War. I just picture him sort of having this gravelly type of voice, you know, from smoking all those years. He appears at the end of the chapter, and we also wind up meeting up as well with Sunny, who we haven't seen since the Regal Mammoth arc. So that's how the chapter left off, and the chapter actually picks up, and I thought it was pretty nicely done. The beginning of it is obviously just kind of still the shock value of Yosaku walking into this restaurant, chomping on a cigar. He's not supposed to be smoking in there, and pretty much just the initial impression that everybody who's not met him before gets is, for the most part, that he's just kind of like this dirty, kind of scummy type guy, you know? Sunny thinks there's nothing beautiful about him, you know? And Takamaru is like, what, this guy, like, possesses the all-healing medicine, the cure-all medicine? And Match, who's a gangster, right, who, like, operates in the shady part of the world and whatnot, looks at him and is like, I can't believe my master, you know, that his gang leader, Ryu, you know, hangs out with this guy, commiserates and hangs out with him and knows him. But anyway, looks can be deceiving, though. However, we wind up getting taken away a little bit from the, I guess, the kind of main group to go and see at the Aigo Gourmet Hotel. We wind up seeing Granny Setsu, and you know, obviously bringing Komatsu there with his little penguin friend as well, so he can start getting to work on the century soup. And, you know, because he says, you know, oh, I'd like to pay you back for all your kindnesses and this and that. And she's like, listen, you can pay me back by creating the century soup. And he's like, yes, ma'am, I'll have it whipped up in a heartbeat. And as she kind of walks away, it's only a couple of pages, but as she kind of walks away, she's like, yeah, I wonder how many years it'll take him, right? So that kind of feeds into what happens towards the end of the chapter. So the rest of the chapter goes and winds up taking us, they go on this, everybody goes on this little journey with Yosaku, and they follow him to Motherwood, the Tree of Healing. And it's this huge, really kind of cool looking tree with like stairs built into it and up around the side. And basically this is where kind of all the gourmet revivers come and hang out and what have you. You know, and it's just very well done, very well drawn, as everything has been in this country of life. To me, it's like a living, breathing world. It's a character within, and I've said this before in some One Piece reviews. It seems very much like a living character because of everything that was put into this and all the thoughts and the thought process that went into the different types of things that can heal this and heal that. And although they're fictional, they sound legit, you know, the way they're explained. So very cool stuff. Anyway, as Yosaku goes and takes them to his lab, as he likes to call it, and it's funny because then he calls it like the healing lab, and Teppei's like, yeah, more like the demolition lab or something along those lines. Goes in there and there's like blood stains all over the place and everything. And they wind up actually seeing a couple of different creatures that apparently were probably things that were extinct or what have you that are in there healing. And Toriko's like, wow, this so-and-so, this is a Chaco something, you know. He's like, oh man, this is really cool, you know. He really is a healer. And then he's like, what's with all the blood stains, you know? And Yosaku, again, like, it just reminds me of this gravelly sort of sounding Marcus Phoenix character. He's just like, he just goes... He just goes and he says, yeah, the blood, I keep the blood, I let the blood stay there. That reminds me of all my failures, you know. So obviously it's not 100% what he does. But so he winds up finding out from everybody. The lipstick comes off the pig very quickly, and he finds out that everybody's basically there because they need something from him. They need some of his help in healing, right? So he winds up starting off, he's like, all right, fine, whatever. We'll start with the easiest thing, you know? So he winds up going and doing this, I don't know what the hell he calls it, shock something. What does he call it? Shock? Yeah, actually, I'll look it up real quick over here. I thought it was kind of cool. Here we go. Rousing shock, that's what he does. He goes and takes the three guys, matches three guys, and goes in, and they're all, of course, all bandaged and mummied up and whatnot. 'Cause if you remember, like their blood basically flash froze because it was so cold there, and they're pretty much in like a hypothermia type of, I guess, cryo sleep or whatever, right? Anyways, he goes and just does this rousing shock, and they kind of all fly up in the air. Bandages start coming off him, and Match, you know, to begin with, was kind of wary about this guy. But then he goes and he becomes a believer very quick because he sees that, you know, these guys are like popping back to life, you know, and he's like, oh my god. And I thought this was kind of cool because although these background characters, Match's guys, they were never really exposed or focused on in the sense where they really gave us much of a backdrop on them. We just know that for the most part they seem like good dudes. And really, when they went and were trying to buy him time so Match could kind of charge up to release his energy against Barry Gammon, these guys just kept, I mean, you know, one of the guys was just like half dead and was still hanging onto his leg. And, you know, and it was actually sad and very disheartening, and it's one of the things that bothered me was just seeing, you know, Barry crushing these guys and just beating them up and obviously killing them, you know, just mercilessly. But I really liked it how they just, you know, they still stuck by, and even though they knew that they were just throwing their lives against it just to buy him a little bit of time, they were willing to do that, you know. And that's pretty cool because you don't see that type of commitment nowadays from anybody. If you cannot do something immediately, for the most part, it's very much an instant gratification type world. If I cannot have it or do it or see it or play it right now when I want it, I lose interest and I move on to something else. And that's why, for the most part, a lot of different, you know, reviewers try to go and make shorter videos because people's attention spans are generally like, you know, 2-3 minutes at most, and then they stop watching. It's as simple as that. They're just not engaged enough. They got other shit to do. They want to move on to the next one and the next one. You know, what can I do? Give me now. You know. So anyway, I thought it was very cool, though, to see, like I said, just the resilience of these guys, and of course, just you know, them actually standing up for something they knew was a losing battle, you know, in the hopes that Match would be able to win, which he did. So sorry about that. I got a little off tangent, and you know, wound up going off on a little tangent. Actually, I should say, got a little off topic. Back to the chapter at hand. So Yosaku, during the course of this chapter and several other pages, winds up going and healing everybody else up but Toriko. He gets to Takamaru and says, "What is it that you want?" And Takamaru says, "You know, I've heard that there's this medicine that can heal anything." And he says, "Yeah, you're right. I don't know how you heard about it, but it's true. Here's the thing, though. It's one pill. It'll cost you 10 billion. But here's the deal about it, right? Is that it only heals. It'll heal anything in the actual human world. It will not heal ailments from the gourmet world, which we like to call curses." And he goes, "Like your eye, you know," and Takamaru's got that cursed eye or whatever. So we find out just a little more about that, and they dangle a carrot out there again for that. But anyway, Takamaru says, "Oh, you know," and he basically gets down on his hands and knees and begs him, you know, and says, "Please, I need this. It's not for me. It's for another person. And even if there's only a 0.1% chance of it actually helping, I need to try. I will do anything. I'll work my entire lifetime to be able to pay you back," you know. So I thought it was really cool. Yosaku was basically just like, "Hey, I like you. I like your spirit. Go ahead. You can take the medicine. I don't need the money anyway," you know. And I'm just like, what a cool dude, right? Just what a great guy. You know, he's putting people in this healing flower, you know, and don't worry about it, it'll heal you up. I think it was Match that he put in there, you know, and because of his leg and everything. And puts him in this healing flower, and this thing's cool. It, like, eats away, like, you know, basically injuries, and he'll come out of there mostly healed up. He's like, the only downside is if you go in there and you're not injured, the thing will just eat you. So I like all the thought process that goes into creating these things, you know. But anyway, the culmination and the ending of the chapter winds up being Toriko, and he winds up talking to Toriko and says, "Hey, listen, here's the deal. I can heal up that arm of yours, right?" And that's what he says. He goes, "Hey, as for you, Toriko, nice to finally meet you. I can see you've got a strong life force." And he's just like, "Oh, okay. Let's restore your arm." And he's like, "You can really bring my arm back?" And he goes, "Yep, but it'll take 20 years. I'm like, "What? 20 years?" So anyway, then the next page you go and you see 20 years? And Granny thinks that it'll take 15 to 20 years. 20 years for Komatsu to complete the century soup. So I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know if all of a sudden we're going to get some kind of weird-ass time skip or something like that. But that's how the chapter ends off over there, is finding out that it's going to take Komatsu, in Granny Setsu's estimation, 20 years to go and create the century soup. And Toriko, it's going to take 20 years to restore his arm. It's also worth noting as well, too, that it seems like everybody is afraid of the wrath of Granny Setsu, because Teppei even goes and says to Yosaku, he says, "Yeah, Granny Setsu was there, and she was pretty pissed off that you didn't actually go yourself and you sent me." And he's like, "What? Granny's there? Why'd she break the rules? She can't do that. That's against the rules." And then somebody's like, Somebody goes, yeah, smoking's against the rules. You know, somebody in the restaurant, this is earlier in the chapter, and that's against the rules too. And he's like, yeah, but that's a rule that should be broken, or that was made to be broken, right? Anyway, the point is that he says a couple of times during the course of the chapter, he refers to Granny as somebody who's obviously exalted and held up in high regards, and that's respected. When she walks into the Aigo Gourmet Hotel, same thing. Everybody obviously respects this woman, or fears her. One of the two, might be a combination of both. But what I like is that he's like, yeah, let's get you guys all healed up over there. I don't want the wrath of Granny coming down on me. So Granny's obviously, and people have told me in the comments too, you don't even know and this and that. So I can't wait to find out, see, and hear more about her. So that's where the chapter ends off, though. And in my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts now on Yosaku, and obviously just all the different things that he was doing and showing and whatnot to create and to be able to heal these particular characters. And what do you just think about him in general as a character now that we've actually been introduced to him and we've kind of seen him in action, you know? Let me know what your answer to that question is in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and my other channels too.